We are back, and this time I'd like to shift a bit the sharing of the first set apart people then to the Goys. And then in Romans chapter 8, it states in the first verse, there is therefore no condemnation to those who are in Yahshua the Messiah, to those that do not walk after the flesh. So it's very interesting because this gives us more insight in what condemnation is. The condemnation part of it is in regards to the demands from the Torah of justice. So some people, they are in the idea of that the Torah was abolished. It was absolutely not. So, but be encouraged, because we are no longer under the demands of the Torah of justice. We have received life from the demands of the Torah. Very important understanding, because a lot of people, they are in the flesh and they don't understand yet the distinction from the soul and the spirit, and that's where the confusion comes from. Comes from this area not being able to separate those elements, or in other words, the soul and also the spirit. Okay? Therefore there is no condemnation to them who are in Yahshua the Messiah, and those that do not walk after the flesh. Then the flesh means the soul that takes over the spirit. A lot of people, they get this area confused, because what's going on is, since we know for sure that those that are not saved and they have a demon, liking it or not. It's as simple as it is. There are so many of them in the world, and they inhabit the people. And when people do not have Yahshua the Messiah, there is obviously a demon in them. And after a while, when they are trained and their minds are then renewed, then they become more aware of them, or it, and they must be cast out. And that's what Yahshua taught many times, that those demons, when they go out of a person, and then when a person sins, and then others would come in and would make the first state worse, and then we should be very aware of it. In this case, then there is no longer demands from the Torah of justice, and then rather than the demands came life from the Torah. So this is what Yahshua taught, and this is what Shaul is also teaching. There is therefore no condemnation, there is therefore no demands anymore from the Torah of justice. Okay, regarding to those who are in Yahshua the Messiah. However, they must not walk after the flesh. This means when the living Torah begins to be part of their lives, they no longer live for themselves. They are no longer part of themselves. They are on duty 24/7 a day, because they were purchased from the world. They don't belong to themselves anymore. So what goes on so much in the circles out there, they want to be a part of the world, and then they want to be a part of the church or the congregation, and mostly important, they want to be part of the set apart people. And it never works, because they made a decision to be in the world, enjoying the flesh, and then they want part in the kingdom. They have no part in the kingdom. The best is saying straight up front, they are not part of it. Either they love the one or hate the other, or vice versa. And Yahshua was very specific. You have to make up your mind. Either you are with the kingdom, or then you are with the world. You can't do both. And then many people, they think they are part, but they are not. They simply are serving demons in them, and they refuse to understand that the Torah is the very life that they should be living by. And truly, Romans 8 states, there is therefore no demands from the Torah of justice anymore in their lives. Comes life because Yahshua did what the Torah demanded in exchange for their obedience. That's very plain. And then to those that are in Yahshua the Messiah, as long as they do not walk after the flesh. There are also requirements on their part. Yahshua is the Messiah, He is the Anointed, He came from on high, He was Yahweh Yeshua in the camp, set apart believers. And then on the outside, for us guys, He is Yahshua. But we have our part to do in this deal. We must understand the Torah as being the instructions. We are not under the demands of the law, but we are certainly the living Torah in us through Him, the Mashiach, Yahshua. We can't live both lives at the same time. And then people, they go around these establishments and they worship these junky Savior that never existed. It was made it up. And then they think they can go out and preach a Savior that does not exist. Come on. Shaul was very specific. Therefore, as the Torah was impotent through the weak part of the flesh, Elohim then sent His Son in the like of sinful flesh on their behalf. So they would be then part of the people. So then of course the Torah is much alive. But they became then, the Torah became the living Torah in them through Yahshua the Messiah. And this is what Shaul was very specific. And then he goes on. Therefore, as Torah was impotent through the weak part of the flesh, then He sent His Son in the form of a sinful flesh. He was not sinful, but He was sent in the form, only in the form of a sinful flesh, on behalf of those with sin, that He might in the flesh condemn sin. So the main understanding of a person being a goy and then would put to death the sin in the flesh would be through the Torah. Without the Torah, a person can't do it. And then what goes on is they refuse to understand the instructions of the Torah, and they have a demon. They go around with demons in them and teaching doctrines of demons. This is what goes on, so popular in the world. A lot of people, a lot of these preachers and teachers and so named the prophets, they take bits and pieces of the renewed covenant and they are around on their own. Ask them precisely, can you teach the Torah prior of teaching your own? They can't. They can't because they have demons. And demons, they know that they can't read the Torah because Torah is a sin finder. Torah is an expert in finding sin. And when a person is from a false religion, read the Torah. How about the Torah was abolished? Oh, truly was abolished. Are you sure? So what does it mean? There is therefore no demands from the Torah of justice to them in Yahshua the Messiah. What does it mean, condemnation? Was it a license to sin? And then having demons in them? Absolutely not. Yahshua precisely taught they should be away from sin, and the expert in finding sin is the Torah. And then there is therefore no demands from the Torah of justice upon those that are in the Mashiach, because they themselves became the living Torah. So they could go out in a group, and they would be, obviously, when they were invited in a camp, they were functioned, they were taught properly, and then they would teach the guys. So this is what it means. There is no other meaning of it other than understanding that the living Torah is in their lives. If they wish to have part of the world and part of the kingdom, forget it. Yahshua said because you're not neither cold or hot, He would vomit them out of His mouth. And it is very serious because the price paid by Yahshua was very high. And He purchased the people from this perverse world. people are not longer on their own. They can't do on their own because they want to have the demons out of their lives and begin to be very obedient to what Yahshua taught. This is the only way of entering the kingdom. If they do otherwise, if they do not have the Torah, life of the Torah in them, they are lost. They are going down. They are going to the first death because it's a false teaching. Think of it. Yahshua the Messiah came, He died on a stake, and then He gave them the living Torah. They would be the living Torah, the living instructions. So they would form other groups and go around the world forming perimeters. And then set up the tents, set up the tabernacle. Because the aim of these is to teach the Goys when the new group comes in. This is what the church is. The rest, they are only groups that they come together for sharing of their faiths. That's what it is. There is no complication in it. The problem is that people, they want half and half. They want to be half of the world. They want to enjoy the pleasures of the world, knowing that the world is condemned. The world is condemned. If a person does not believe Yahshua as the Messiah, any other name is false. And then they don't understand the Torah. How could Yahshua the Messiah, being the person that came to complete the Torah, He came to complete, then He would turn around and give them a license to sin? A person has to be a truly imbecile and very stupid not to understand the Torah. Do you think then the Father, after so much work and so much trial, that He Himself in the form of Yahweh Yeshua would come and trial so much and then would give them a license to sin? Insanity. What Yahshua then is saying through Shaul, there is therefore no demands from the Torah of justice anymore. As long as you understand that the Torah became alive. It's alive in them. However, do not walk after the flesh. Please stay tuned, much more coming.